I wanted to share today. It's hard to pick out the right sentiment after 5 years. And I didn't want cliches, and I wanted to write a speech around things that were true and things that were heartfelt. And we have a lot of people to thank. So I thank you in advance for indulging me with this. This is definitely the longest speech I've ever given to Pinecrest, and probably will be the longest that I ever give to Pinecrest. But I give you 5 things that are true. The first thing that is true is that a lot of people contributed to the success of this project. While the team was large, it also sometimes felt like a small family. In December 2012, the board of directors and I sat in the upper school building during a retreat to plan for this building and to make an action plan to bring it to reality. We did not know much then. We had no idea how much we did not know then. But we knew that we cared about the future of our school and that a new building was necessary. Hard work, hectic times, many ups and downs followed from there over the next 5 years. 3 people who were in that room in December 2012 are still on the board today, and I want to recognize them first. Not only for what they have done to support the building itself, but also for what they have done to support me as we were building the building. They make a difference to our school on a consistent basis with contributions that are thoughtful, articulate, and reality-based. And they make a difference to me on a consistent basis with their understanding, their support, and their genuine regard for me. Thank you with heartfelt gratitude to Susan Akers, Katrina Hush, and Cindy Mitlow. Before anything else happened, we went through our zoning process to update our special exception amendment with Fairfax County. There's a lot I could say here, but I'm just going to say we got our approval on June 17th, 2014. But the process started at least a year and a half before that, and Lynn Strobel from the Walsh Colucci law firm was our advocate then. Lynn listened to what we needed and worked so hard to help us get it. And she's here today. We want to ask you to come up and thank you for your support. This is the first of many recognitions we're going to do, and Jamie, Nick, and Summer are going to help us. We did not practice this part. Thank you, Lynn. TriTech, our civil engineer team, first joined our project during this zoning effort as well, and they have been with us ever since. We want to specifically thank Ted Britt and Dan Brzezinski, although I don't think they are here today. No, okay. After our zoning process, we knew the real work would begin. Before the building committee, we had the capital campaign. That's where our Growing Our School project got its name. This effort was led by Elizabeth Crowder, and we want to thank her for her hard work to raise over $200,000 from parents, grandparents, staff, alumni families, camp families, and others. And I know she and the current board would want me to tell you, even though Supervisor Gross already did, it is not too late to donate. Donations made through December 31st will be recognized on our donor wall. But Elizabeth Crowder, please come up and join us. We want to thank you for all you have done.
Thank you. I would have changed out of my racing clothes.
This is community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
We're getting there.
Nick, Jamie, and Summer and I made up the building committee. And when I think back to how this all got arranged, it's hard to remember the specifics. I think Summer is here because of the Esquire after her name, but I don't want anyone to think she's obnoxious because it's me who likes to say that, not her, even though it's true. Summer's eye for organization and planning kept us in check many times over. She's the reason why the move out and the move in went so well and so efficiently. Jamie's origin story is easier. She volunteered to be our project manager. She's an architect in real life, and it seemed like we won the lottery when she spoke up and said, "I want to be part of this." A lot of the time, I had no idea what she was talking about, although as time went on, I did learn more. But I always knew that she knew what she was talking about, and that was the most important thing. We absolutely could not have done this without her. And Nick is here because he's the board chair. Nick assumed this role at the end of May 2015, and I think he thought he wouldn't have much to do relating to the building. I actually think Susan Akers told him that when we had the conversations with Nick about becoming the board chair. Nick is always here. On a physical level, he's lugging boxes, he's driving children to peace, he's setting an example for other parents, and he's giving generously always. He's also always here on a personal level. He's sending us positive notes. He's reminding us why we're working so hard and why it matters. And Nick's input on the project may be the hardest to measure quantitatively, but it is the easiest to measure in my heart. Work Program Architects, or WPA, and ModSpace rounded out the rest of our larger team. We signed our architect contract in November 2014, and WPA has been a proud partner with us since then. We want to thank Tom White, Beth White, and Mel Price for their dedication and for all their efforts to bring this building to fruition. It is truly beautiful, and the way it ties together with our upper school building is one of the many reasons why it is so special. I know these details are thanks to WPA and to Jamie. The project went on way longer than we thought it would, and WPA never lost faith or their commitment. Tom, please join us to be recognized. And then there is ModSpace. From the very beginning, they showed great flexibility with us and a keen interest to be part of our project. We've seen a lot of faces, but the one who has made the biggest difference is Lisa Crocker. She's been in our corner from day one. Lisa came here first to make the pitch, and then again when we talked about specifics before signing the contract, and she's been with us every step of the way since. It has been quite the journey, and the setbacks we suffered were theirs too. ModSpace was constantly ready to make new plans and do the best they could for us. They worked hard, and they still are, for Pinecrest. Lisa has directed all of this. We also want to acknowledge Sharon Williams, John Costas, and Flynn Clarkson, but it's Lisa who deserves the biggest round of applause. Lisa, please join us. You helped us save the brick. Of course you got it. Yes, you were. I also want to thank our maintenance person, Dennis Knudsen. He generously donated his time to be part of many initial planning meetings for the building and did so much more. We're very fortunate that he is so dedicated to Pinecrest. I also want to thank our other contractors who always came when we needed them. Cliff from Cavalier, Landpro, Telnet, Brian Howard, Tim Sellner, and more. So that was all the truth number one, so you can see why this is going to get long. Truth number two, we got boosts from just the right people at just the right time. Along the way, we had our fair share of dark days, and these people in particular brought the light along with their expertise. Supervisor Gross, you have been with us from the very beginning, and your influence always showed up exactly when we needed it. Thank you for recognizing Pinecrest School as an asset to the Mason District and to everything you have done to help us. Our zoning appeal took longer than we thought it would, a theme. And in the end, thanks to Lynn's suggestion, it was our traffic engineer who helped us push us closer to the finish line. I called her the fairy godmother of the zoning project. We want to thank Robin Antonucci from Wells and Associates for her skillful work on our behalf. And I don't think she is here. Virginia Community Capital invested in Pinecrest and holds our loan. The moment they said yes, our path changed from a dirt or bumpy gravel road to smooth pavement. Dawn DeHart came to meet us, see the school, listen to us talk about what we did and why it matters, and decided there was something special here to get behind. We would not be here today without her. Unfortunately, she could not be here today, but she deserves much recognition. Matt Ho worked with her as we closed our loan and shepherds us with BCC now. We want to thank Virginia Community Capital. For 1 year and in 2 days, I was definitely counting, we made Pinecrest work in 2 locations. We could never have done that without the kind and gracious spirits of Peace Lutheran Church. They've been rooting for us from basically the first day we met them, and in large part that is due to former council president Kathy Cruz. We also want to acknowledge Chris and Pastor Sarah. They and everybody else at Peace embody what you think church leaders should be: giving, caring, humble, and kind. It is refreshing, and they truly made a difference to Pinecrest during this time. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Peace. And the last boost came from the newest member of our Mod Space team, Dan Carducci. Unfortunately, Dan also could not be here today, but we want to recognize him. He joined the team in August as our project manager, and we can't say how many times over how glad we are that he did. From the very beginning, he got us, and he got that this project was different because we are a school. Our only regret is that he did not come on board sooner. Dan is someone who truly brings his values to work every day and aims to make a difference in all that he does. My third truth today is one that people have heard many times over the past couple of years, but I will say it again because it's important. Every day during all of this, our students were learning, they were safe, and they were happy at Pinecrest. 3 years of staff teams and 1 summer of camp staff were impacted as we grew our school. 3 school years ago, I started the No Other School Year Like This hashtag. I didn't know when I created it we would still be using it in 2017-18, but we are finally taking our final bow on our third act. Our teachers and staff during the 2015-16, 2016-17, and current school years deserve so much credit and recognition for all they have done. They made sure our children were learning, were safe, and happy at Pinecrest. And despite all else that was going on, they did it in challenging conditions, off-site, with limited space, while temporarily moving into new space, without all of our regular supplies and items, having almost always constantly having to think of ways to do things differently because of different limitations, but our children never suffered. When you care about the people you work with and you have to share news with them that is not good or will make their jobs harder, it is a heavy burden to bear. I had to look them in the eyes and do this many times over. Most of the time, they were gracious and understanding. Many more times than that, they let me know they knew it was just as hard for me as it was for them. I look forward to what we're going to be able to do together now that this project is concluding. We recognized the teachers last year with bricks from the old building. They were the ones who got the first ones, but we want to thank them again today. We are so incredibly fortunate that these people choose to share their talents and their hearts with Pinecrest School, and they have endured a lot while we have been growing our school. As I have said, there won't ever be another group of staff members at this school who will experience what we have over these past few years. And the same is true for our 2017 summer camp staff, who worked very hard and did their very best for us under challenging and different conditions this summer. 2 simple words are not enough, but please know they are deeply felt by me and by everybody here. We want to say thank you to Ms. Marble, Mrs. Cullen, Mrs. Ferrier, Mrs. Bogus, Mrs. Salisbury, Ms. Snyder, Ms. Bledgy, Ms. Pence, Ms. Mitlow, Mrs. Jackaman, Coach Botchway, Mrs. Edwards, Ms. Hayden, Mrs. Hartzler, Mrs. Tibbetts, Mrs. Paracone, Mrs. Sim, Ms. Servin, and Ms. Sambro. We cannot thank you enough. The fourth thing that is true is that we cannot do big things without people to support us. After Christmas last year, my mom sent me a note saying she was glad that I could be at both of my homes for Christmas. I was in Massachusetts for Christmas Eve and Christmas, and I was back here the morning of the 26th to watch the demolition of the old building. Not being here in person for demo was not a choice for me. I'm never going to do anything like this again, and I do know that for sure. And I'm really fortunate to have family and friends who understand why this is the case. So many people have been cheering this project on from every corner of my life, and it has made a tremendous difference to me. My good friends showed up for me in every possible way. They made me LOLOL when I needed it. They helped me stay above it as they listened to my worries and frustrations and so many details, and they are here today sharing in my excitement now. My mom, my aunt, my best friend, and a handful of my closest friends are here today, and I want to ask you to join me in a round of applause for them. A lot of people have asked me how I have been able to withstand all of this, and a large part of that answer is because of them. Thank you all. And as I talk about support, I also want to acknowledge Jamie Curry's family and Summer Cross's family for their sacrifices that they made to this project. Thank you, Sean and David, and also Zachary, Caitlin, Ben, and Kira. I also especially want to acknowledge Beth Graves, Nick's wife. I can't find where she is. Oh, there she is. Okay. Sometimes I've been in awe of how positive and supportive she is. She could really resent this building because of how much time it has taken Nick away from her family, but she does not at all. She has celebrated every victory we've had wholeheartedly, and it has meant a lot. It is a strong example of a true partnership and true support. Thank you, Beth, and thank you also, James and Henry. Okay, we are at number 5. So the 5th thing that is true is that encouragement is what I will remember most. I was not a perfect leader during this project. Since it's been in progress, I have been working hard to take a breath before I respond. This is still a work in progress. And I've also taken up meditation. Today was my 175th day. Pinecrest requires a lot from me, even when we are not building a building, but I have always tried to stay focused on things that matter the most. Sometimes it took longer for these moments to shine during the building project, but they always did. These were the moments that merged. This is community with growing our school, and I want to highlight a couple of those now. Like the preschooler who gave me a card on the night of our zoning decision in 2014 that said, "Good luck at your big meeting." The teachers who showed me through their words and actions that they understood the stress and the workload and valued all I was doing. There's many examples of this, but I'm thinking about the prayers, the kind words and emails, the card left after a difficult building committee meeting reminding me that we were doing hard things, and the homemade card that said, "Stand tall." The preschooler who made a lot of visits to my temporary office towards the end and said how much he couldn't wait to see my new pink office. Me too. All of the parents who said wow and thank you and congratulations along the way. These were often quick words, but they made a huge difference. A lot of these people had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, but their words always came at the right time. They were little reminders to keep going, that it mattered, and that people appreciated it. The kindergartner who asked me what we were going to name this building. That was particularly funny because I've made a lot of jokes along the way about this building being my baby, so I was eager to tell her we're naming it the lower school. The parent who sent me regular emails for 2 years that said, "Cheering you on." The board parent who asked me what I was going to do on December 4th, when after a long, long time, my job at Pinecrest goes back to only being head of school, and how she looks forward for the time for when my personal life goes back to having not to have to include Pinecrest too. The day we got our occupancy permit and my phone was filled with responses consisting mostly of the happiest and most celebratory emojis and bitmojis from the building committee, from Susan, Katrina, and Cindy, and from my closest friends. The message I got from a parent the week we were getting ready to move that simply said, "You're the best." And the people who have cried when they have come into the building, and when Mrs. Ferrier said on moving weekend number 2 that Pinecrest really is a slice of heaven. That's why we did this, and that's why we are here. And this is to say nothing of the other encouragement or uplift. Everybody who helped us move out of the old building and move into the new building. The people who helped us over the last 2 weeks clean and put things together and do whatever else we needed. The countless donations, some one-time gifts, some recurring, from so many people who told us with a precious resource that they believed in this project, that they believed in Pinecrest School. And I also want to acknowledge a couple of other people like Chuck Tomasco, who offered professional expertise, Tamisha Norris, who made me a stencil so I could make all these bricks, and then made me another one on short notice when I broke the first one. Aaron Johnston and Dave DeHassen, Amy and Merrick Madonos, who have done a lot over these 2 weeks. Manisha Bhaskar for her contributions to Capital Campaign fundraising and all of her support over the past 2 weeks as well. Scott Lieberman, who lent his talents to help us capture all of the moments from this whole project, including today. And all 6 boards who were in office during the duration of this project. This project was really hard, and it required a lot from me and a lot from all of us in different ways. It was a lonely road a lot of the time, and I thought I was failing many times over. But we persevered, we did hard things, and we proved Muhammad Ali's words true: impossible is nothing. Please do not ever doubt how much a kind or encouraging word or action can make a difference, especially in a doing hard things situation. For those who offered them to me during this project, I want to thank you sincerely and wholeheartedly. I will not ever forget any of it. And I also won't forget it the next time someone I know is doing something big. One of the very best things Nick Wakeman ever said about this project, it was on the day that the last module arrived, was that now the outside would finally match the inside. He wrote in a text on Persevere, "The school's look will finally match its quality." This comment is my favorite of 5 years worth of words and actions and hassles and successes and disasters and frustration and joy that led us here. This sentiment means the most to me, and I hope to all the teachers too who work so hard every day to bring our mission to life. This statement is the most succinct way of saying why we are so excited to move into Pinecrest's next chapter and why we worked so hard to get here. I want to thank you all so much for being here today. I am never going to lose this picture of so many open hearts here to celebrate Pinecrest in this incredible moment. It's what Brene Brown would call collective joy, Oprah would call it joy rising, and we call it this is community. I am very grateful. Thank you so much.